Throughout my life as a Latter-day Saint, especially when I was younger, I was taught to never play with what they called were face cards, meaning cards that people used to play things like poker and have faces on them like the jack, the queen, and the king. And I was told that they were evil. And as a kid, I was always intrigued by this thing called face cards. I used to ask, what do those strangely drawn faces on cards have to do with anything? Why are face cards bad? And they used to say, well, they're not of God, they're of the devil. You know, don't read them. They cause bad things, like there was voodoo in them. And so I kind of understand that. Gambling and things can lead to that. But recently, I was gifted with a unique product sold right here in Utah. Now, for those of you who have never been to the state or don't live here, most grocery stores have LDS sections where you can find games and books and cards specifically catering to members of the Mormon Church. I mean, you can walk into a national chain grocery store and you'll find an area smack dab in the middle that is teeming with a whole bunch of Mormon products. Bright and sparkly stuff for kids, scrubbed and modest stuff for teens, Stepford wife type stuff for the women, and professionally polished products for the men. Well, it was brought to my attention that the LDS are producing their own form of face cards these days, and they're called prophet cards. Now, in your mind, how do you view a real biblical prophet? I mean, do you see them as businessmen and guys who like to golf and people who have a lot of degrees and things? Or do you kind of see biblical prophets like Jeremiah and Isaiah and Daniel and all these guys a little bit differently? Well, the LDS have had 16 prophets and they have their pictures on them, and this is what the card looks like. And what they do on these cards is every prophet gets 4 cards, and there's facts on the cards. So what you do is you hold these cards and then someone says, do you have Thomas Monson? And you say, no, I don't. And then you say, well, go find a prophet. And you reach in and try to find a match. And you can ask questions about the prophet to give you a lead whether the person actually has the prophet or not. So let me read to you some of the things that are facts about these modern day prophets that are listed on these face cards of the LDS. Thomas Monson, at 12 years old, he saved a young girl from the Provo River. From Gordon B. Hinckley has a number of accomplishments. Number 15, the conference center pulpit was made from the wood of his black walnut tree. And he received 10 honorary doctorate degrees, most probably from BYU. Just kidding. And he was awarded the Presidential Medal of Freedom by President George W. Bush. So, you know, that's pretty good for a prophet of God. And then Howard W. Hunter, he was unharmed when an intruder threatened him during a speech. That happened at BYU. I remember that. And Ezra Taft Benson, prophet of God, he appeared on the cover of Time magazine twice. Well, that is just so good, Ezra. Thank you for that humble representation of God. And then Spencer W. Kimball, this is really important. He served as class president all 4 years in high school. Wow. I bet Isaiah did too. You know? I bet he did too. And then Harold B. Lee, he was made a principal when he was just 18 years of age. And Joseph Fielding Smith, he loved flying fighter jets. That is so good. And David O. McKay, he played on the University of Utah football team. And George Albert Smith was a scouting enthusiast. And Heber J. Grant, well, he was the most successful, it says he was one of the most successful businessmen of his day. And he also happened to have presented a copy of the Book of Mormon to Helen Keller. That's quite a feat, you know. He did it. And then we had Joseph Fielding Smith, Joseph F. Smith. He was called as a counselor in the first presidency at a young age of 28. And then we have we have Lorenzo Snow, who gave a copy of the Book of Mormon to Queen Victoria. But this was my favorite. Right at the top, Wilford Woodruff, it says, he raised his wife from the dead. Now, you know, finally, we get all the way back into 1800, and I won't go into Brigham Young, and I won't go into Joseph Smith, but those are some of the facts about the prophets, Latter-day Prophets. Now, this is important. These cards are for young kids, and they're for adolescents. And they are used to teach from a very young age to look at these men and believe that this type of stuff is what makes somebody worthy or really called of God. Now, it's not direct, and it's just some fun facts about people. We all have them. But still, you know, there's an implication there that when you save somebody from the Provo River, you have valor. And when you get 10 honorary doctorate degrees, God will use your intelligence to lead his church. Things like that, rather than the humble, broken things that God has used in the past. Well, the training starts early and runs deep. Now, on the outside, Cass, on the outside of this card box, it says Latter-day Prophets are number 1. And it says Joseph Smith and Brigham Young. Well, Cassidy and I were talking, this is my daughter and assistant Cassidy, and we were talking about these cards, and she read that outside today, and she said, I know that song. Now, it's been 10 years since she's been a little girl in primary and has not heard this song since, but she sat there and she sang it to me. So we're going to sing this song with you right now. Cassie's going to show you how, after 10 years never hearing it, how inculcated this thing is in her mind. You ready? Yo, yo, yo!
Latter-day Prophets are number 1. Joseph Smith, then Brigham Young. John Taylor came third. We know then Wilford Woodruff, Lorenzo Snow, Joseph F. Smith. Remember the F. Heber J. Grant and George Albert Smith. David L. McKay was followed by Joseph Fielding Smith. Then Harold B. Lee, Spencer W. Kimball, Ezra Chapinson, Howard W. Hunter, Gordon B. Hinckley shows the way. We hear and follow their words today.
Today! Yes, good job. And with that, we'll have a prayer.